Good afternoon, good evening, everyone, wherever you're tuning in from. It's Rod with Power Group. We're going to get started here momentarily. We'll give it another 30 seconds to a minute for people to join us. All right, I see we have quite a few people joining the live stream. Welcome, welcome. We're going to get started here in about 15 seconds. If you could smash like, let us know where you're tuning in from as well, and we'll get started here momentarily with today's live stream. All right, see we have quite a few people with us. Welcome, welcome. It is Wednesday. Happy Hump Day, May 10th. Hope you're well. It's Rod with Power Group. Welcome back on the Pursuit of Wealth, your home for MJ stocks, crypto assets, and interviews. Going to get started with today's video. Before we jump into today's content and live stream, let us know where you're tuning in from, and smash the like, share the video with anybody that might find value. And you can subscribe, tick the bell if you haven't already, and you'll be notified on any future videos or whenever I go live. But today we're going to be discussing tomorrow's a big day. So today we're going to be preparing for tomorrow. And tomorrow we have the Senate committee hearing with regards to safe banking. That's going to be tomorrow morning at 9:45 a.m. Eastern time. And we're just going to go over some information today. We'll look at some charts as well, what to potentially expect, and we'll just get some Q&A from the community as well. But like I said, before we get to it, make sure to smash like, help support me in the channel. It doesn't cost you anything. And if you haven't already, you can subscribe, tick the bell, you'll be notified on any future videos or whenever I go live. Speaking of future videos and videos in general, I did post a couple of videos yesterday. So the most important chart to watch right now is the dollar index. And I go over why that is and present a very bullish scenario for stocks and crypto over the next couple of weeks and several weeks and a couple of months. So it's looking really good, and that is going to be the most important chart right now. I also did a product review video, the new XMG Sour Green Apple Kush, and then there's also some new Deep Space with some caffeine in those from Canopy, from Tweed. So those were really, really good. Absolutely love the Sour Apple Kush. That was the green apple. Oh man, it tasted like one of those suckers or whatever that you got whenever you were a kid, those green apple, caramel apple suckers. So fantastic. If you haven't already checked that out, I encourage you to do so. But moving on, we'll jump into the chat as well at the end, but I see, again, we have quite a few people with us, so welcome, welcome. Thanks for joining the live stream. We'll jump into any Q&A and just discussion with the community here towards the end. But some news, obviously, Key Senate Committee officially schedules hearing on MJ Banking Bill for next week. This was on May 4th, and right now, it is scheduled for tomorrow, but right now we have this new information as of today. Senate committee adds new witnesses for MJ Banking hearing this week. And you can see here, United States Senate Committee on Banking, Housing, and Urban Affairs. Tomorrow, examining MJ banking challenges for small businesses and workers. And it is at 9:45 a.m. And this is based in Washington, D.C. time, so that's Eastern time zone. So we should see some update around noon, I would think, if not in the afternoon tomorrow, with regards to progress and whatnot. But going back to this, so the Senate committee adds new witnesses. So the U.S. Senate Banking Committee has added new witnesses who will testify on a hearing for bipartisan MJ banking bill this week. In addition to top bipartisan sponsors of the Secure and Fair Enforcement Safe Banking Act and equity-focused MJ reform activist, a union representative, an MJ Financial Services company executive, and a leading prohibitionist advocate will also share their perspective on legislation and underlying financial services issues in the MJ industry on Thursday's hearing. So we know right now a lot of the companies, MJ companies in the U.S. right now are essentially operating as cash businesses. So it's not good for racial inequality. It's not good for in war on drugs, and especially people of color being targeted mostly due to that war on drugs. It's also about crime and things like that with operating as cash business, it increases the level of crime that these, it's not safe for the companies, it's not safe for the employers that are working in these MJ industry and these companies, right? So it's time, and then also to get uplisting to the U.S. major exchanges, right? So the NYSE and the NASDAQ, and then just provide traditional financing to these companies. And then also insurance is a big thing as well. So the Banking Committee Chairman Sherrod Brown said last week that senators plan to move quickly on the legislation from Senator Jeff Merkley and Steve Daines. And as we know, it's bipartisan, and it looks like it could have a real good shot this time. But again, we've seen this movie before, stalls in the Senate, so we just need to take it with a grain of salt. But the fact that it keeps coming up again and again and again is very promising. So beside Merkley and Daines, here are the witnesses that have been added to testify at the committee hearing. So we have Kat Packer, MJ Regulators of Color Coalition, CRCC, and Drug Policy Alliance, DPA. So Packer is a former Los Angeles MJ regulator who now serves as vice chair of CRCC and director of drug markets and legal regulation at DPA. So following the reintroduction of Safe Banking Act last month, she applauded technical challenges that were made to promote equity. She has emphasized the need to resolve MJ banking issues, but to do so in a way that specifically supports communities that have been disproportionately harmed by the war on drugs, as I mentioned earlier. So the CRCC released a paper last year that proposed several changes to the Safe Banking Act that members said would sharpen its equity impacts and help make the bill more acceptable to those who have insisted to sweeping justice-focused legislation must be prioritized ahead of modest financial reform. One of the organization's recommendations to extend protections to minority depository institutions, MDIs, and community development financial institutions, CDFIs, was incorporated in the latest version of the bill. DPA has also advocated for equity language as part of the banking reform legislation. We also have Ademola Oyefeso, I think I'm saying that correctly, United Food and Commercial Workers International Union, UFCW. So Oyefeso is the director of UFCW's Legislative and Political Action Department. The union organization, which represents over 1 million workers, has routinely advocated for MJ reform, including urging President Joe Biden to support legalization alongside other advocacy groups, right? So we know that Joe Biden signed the research bill. We know that he's calling on HHS to review the classification of MJ. So we could see potential legalization of medical. That probably is going to come first. But through this review with HHS, this could potentially make its way to the DOJ. And then if they decide to reschedule or even deschedule, then it would go to Biden's desk and he would have to sign it into law, right? So there's a good chance that we could see MJ. And again, this time around, we're seeing these extra steps that the government is taking, right? And the Dems and Joe Biden, not only did they do the research bill calling on a review of the classification of the drug, right? So all of these things pointing to the fact that we could see some actual teeth this time around, and that could actually end up passing. So UFCW, which has been working to organize MJ sector workers in legal states, has also pushed for specific priorities in state level reform, such as labor peace agreement requirements as part of the legalization legislation. Michelle Sullivan, DAMA Financial. Sullivan is a chief risk and compliance officer at DAMA Financial, which provides services to state licensed MJ businesses working to navigate the tricky federal regulations on behalf of companies that are seeking banking services. We also have Kevin Sabat, smart approaches to MJ. So Sam, and he's the CEO of SAM, one of the leading figures working to defeat legalization efforts, has opposed Safe Banking Act, arguing that it would enrich the industry and that it would potentially be abused by bad actors. The organization has also maintained, contrary to what the bill's advocates say, that it would exacerbate inequity in the MJ market. Anyways, not going to go on and read this whole entire thing, but it is pretty lengthy. If you want to check it out, you can do so in your own time. But moving on, so Florida, also MJ, the Florida MJ campaign collected enough signatures to qualify for legalization initiative in 2024 ballot, TrueLeaf says, and I think there's a very good chance that we could see this happen in 2024. It's time to get with the program, and more and more states following suit. We have Minnesota. There's tons of other states just on the cusp as well. Also, Washington becomes third state to create MJ interstate commerce law. Article from MJ Biz Daily. In other news, New Jersey governor signs bill to let MJ businesses claim state tax deductions as part of partial 280E workaround. This is from a day ago, but you're starting to notice a normal theme here and a common theme that MJ just continues to come up, and we continue to see just piece by piece, day by day, one step at a time, we're starting to see reform and workarounds and just embracing the industry and looking to, adopt and support, and not only that, but promote and innovate this medicine and the wonderful industry and medicine of the future that we have, right? So 280E, obviously a big component to, hurting, bottom lines and things like that. And we know Cureleaf, I did a video on this about 5 months ago, that Boris Jordan, the executive chairman and co-founder of the company, said that the company has already paid in MJ taxes under 280E over $340 million. If it wasn't for 280E, they said that Cureleaf would more than likely already be paying a dividend, and that Boris Jordan believes that companies in the future in MJ are going to be high cash flowing businesses that are going to offer a lot of dividends in the future. And there was a ton of other companies as well. I did a couple of videos on that, but that seems to be a common trend. But again, this is a good step in the right direction, that New Jersey, and Cureleaf has a big presence in New Jersey as well, that we're starting to see this at the state level, and then hopefully soon see it at the federal level. And then just imagine the amount of profits these companies will be able to achieve, right, once they no longer have to give that insane amount of money to the government. And even companies here in Canada, I did an interview with Hexacorp, and they said it's upwards of 30 to 40% of total revenue is going to the federal government here in Canada. So again, that needs to change as well. They're reviewing the MJ Act here in Canada as well. So there's definitely it's not like we're sitting here, twiddling our thumbs. There's nothing happening in the background. Things are really starting to move, and it might not look like that because of prices and things like that, but you can finally start to see that, wow, things are really starting to come together in a big way. Just a matter of time before the price and fundamentals catch up to technicals, right? Also, in other news, Colombian MJ legalization bill approved in Chamber of Representatives, sending it to the Senate for final vote. So again, Colombia, Mexico is going to be a huge underrated market. We have Germany, right? Tons of markets around the world, right? And we're going to have the rest of the EU, the US, never first but never last. But we know that they have the economy for it, and they'll leapfrog anybody else once they finally start to embrace it, right? So the US is never first, but they're never last, and they're only ever going to legalize it once. So best to get preparing now. But I encourage each and every one of you listening to my voice today to connect to Congress. Let your your senators, your congresswomen, your congressmen, let them know that we want safe banking. Let them know that we want reform. Let them know that the people have spoken, and we want this medicine of the future to be, an overwhelmingly supported majority of Americans want this legalized. So now we need change, and we need to make our voices heard. So I highly encourage you to connect to your local congressman and congresswoman, and let your voices know, let them know and be heard that we want change, and we need change. So we'll take a look at MSOS here. This is the ETF that tracks all of the U.S. operators. So this is a ETF that's traded on the New York Stock Exchange. So it has access to U.S. capital markets. So if you're someone in the U.S. and you don't have access to OTC tickers, there's some names in the U.S. operators, so the multi-state operators. If you're not able to buy it, this is a way for you to do so, right? You can go on the New York Stock Exchange and buy this ETF. So that's one way for you to get exposure to that. But essentially, it just tracks a basket of the top companies in the U.S. And right now, in terms of the technical chart, we are coming up on daily overbought, but we're cooling it off. A bit of a cool off session here today. Obviously, CPI numbers came out today that rattled the market, so we had some pullback, but then we recovered nicely, and then just not immune to the market weakness in the broader market. So we have the low, high, higher low, and higher high. We're scouting for another higher low compared to 530 support. I did a video on this one too not too long ago, saying that we could see a 100 to 200% trade opportunity on MSOS, playing off $5 psychological. And I said, if you miss this 20% pump, here's another, and I made the video right around here. I said, there's another chance for another decent move leading into this hearing. And then sure enough, like a couple days later, it went another 20%. So if you missed that 20%, there was another 20% trade opportunity. But in that video, I was basically saying that you could set a stop below $5, and not just in terms of a short-term trade, you could look for a longer-term trade as well, because the monthly bounce is getting underway now. We're finally breaking the high of last month, and we have no resistance in the price action until about 140%. Just to the EMAs, you're looking at 60 to 200%. So this could easily provide 100 to 200% of upside, in my opinion. And then, like I said, you could set your stop just below $5, that nice round psychological support number. So congrats to anybody that did take that trade. We were at, I think, $6.37 there 3 days ago. So again, from that top, we're now down about almost 10%, but we're still in a daily uptrend at the moment. So we're looking pretty good. No major red flags whatsoever. And we did have that EMA 12 and 26 bull cross, and then starting to cool off a little bit. But again, on the weekly time frame, we haven't even started weekly consolidation yet, so we still need to confirm a weekly higher low and higher high. But what bulls want to see is as big of a bounce as possible here on the weekly time frame, so that we can allow for that higher low to form. So something like this. And maybe you want to wait and add on a weekly higher low. But one thing I'll tell you is that usually when we have this much anticipation, it won't take much for these prices to rocket, and then you'll be scrambling, right? So it's best to have a plan now versus picking it up and deciding on the fly. So have a plan. I'm personally just dollar cost averaging. My MSOS position continues to grow, and I'll just continue to dollar cost average. I'm definitely down. I think I'm down around 50% on this position. But again, I'm just continuing to dollar cost average. I'm not investing any more than I'm willing to lose. And I realize that, I'm not going to nail the bottom. I'm not going to buy the exact bottom. We've been in a bear market since February 2021, and no one can call the bottom exactly, right? And I can feel that we're probably getting close to a bottom, but it could still be many months, right? We still need to confirm monthly uptrends to be confident that the MJ market has bottomed, that we're entering a potential new multi-year bull market. And again, in order to confirm a monthly uptrend, what do we need? We need a low, a high, a higher low, and a higher high. That gives us an uptrend. What gives us a downtrend? A high, a low, a lower high, and a lower low. So we have just started the daily or the monthly bounce. So we still need a high, then a higher low, and a higher high. So we still need the high, the higher low, and the higher high. So that tells me that we're at least 2 to 3 months away before we can be confident that the bear market is over and that we confirm monthly uptrends. And not only do we just want it on MSOS, we want it on HMMJ, ETF, MJ ETF, like all these ETFs, and then individual names, producers, retailers, you name it, ETFs. Once we have monthly uptrends, across all of those, then we'll be confident that the bear market is over, right? So that's what we're looking for. But in terms of the weekly time frame, we are looking good. We're back testing the 10-week moving average. So I want to see a weekly candle close this week over 576 for MSOS to remain bullish. And the stochastic and the MACD have seen a bull cross as well. It's looking really, really good. Looking like we could see a lot of upside on this ETF. In terms of the moving averages on the weekly time frame, we have nothing nearby until 931, the 50 weekly. And then after that, we've got some runway up to about $18 there, 1796 on the 100 weekly moving average. So again, 10 psychological, $9. If we get any kind of positive news out of this committee hearing, I could easily see this price go up to around $8-9, maybe even $10. Like I said, a pretty big explosion in a relatively short period of time based on how beaten down we are. But we are back above the 50-day moving average there at 586. We were back above it, but we closed the day at 578. So we're back below that. We want to see multiple candle closes over that. And then we also have the 200-day moving average there at 881. So $9 to $10, I think, should be easily doable if we get some positive news out of this hearing tomorrow. And then we had the death cross with the 50 crossing down through the 200. When that happened, price was at about $36. Then we went all the way down to low $5. Now we're seeing the inverse of that with the 50-day below the 200-day moving average, and we could see that happen over the next couple of months. Next, maybe 2 to 3 months that could potentially occur. And again, that lines up well with MSOS confirming a monthly uptrend, right? We're still multiple months away before we could see that happen. And then we're, like I said, things can happen in a hurry, but I would say the most likely scenario is it's likely going to be 2 to 3 months before we even come close to seeing a golden cross here on these moving averages on the daily time frame. So that's what I'm looking for. Things are starting to heat up in the MJ industry, no pun intended, but it is looking like we could potentially be due for some serious upside here. And like I said, just all of these things starting to add up and stack together, and it's looking really good. So we'll see what happens tomorrow during the hearing. But if you're just joining us, welcome. You can probably go back and rewatch it. I'm going to try and keep this one shorter today, but we'll jump into the chat here, and we'll get the community's thoughts and opinions on this. But again, May 11th, full committee hearing examining MJ banking challenges of small businesses and workers, and it'll be at 9:45 a.m. Eastern time tomorrow. How optimistic are we? So again, we've seen this movie before. We've gotten our hopes up, right? We've seen the amount of upside that MJ had after the Democrats took control of the Senate during the elections, and then prices shot up 5 to 10x, and that was just on the hopes of legalization, right? So if we get some kind of banking reform, then obviously prices are going to explode. They're going to explode, but as we know, we got to take it with a grain of salt. So personally, I'm not really too concerned. I'm okay with it. I have a plan for if it doesn't go through. I have a plan if it does. and I have a plan if it stalls out and we have to wait longer, right? And that's just in line with markets can go up, down, or sideways. So I have a plan for markets going up, I have a plan for markets going sideways, and I have a plan for markets for going down, right? For going down, I'm just going to continue to dollar cost average, not invest any more than I'm willing to lose, diversify, get some American producers, Canadian producers, retailers, ETFs in the US and in Canada as well, and abroad, right? And then, and then if prices go up, my bags are packed, I'm ready to go. And, if prices go sideways, I'm okay with that too, right? It's mostly mental and just preparing ourselves. But I do think that now is the best chance as ever. And also the fact that the crypto space is due for a weekly bull flag potential here, targeting about 42K on Bitcoin. And then if we take a look at the S&P 500, it's also a weekly bull flag on the S&P 500 targeting 439. So this could be some nice headwinds for MJ stocks and stocks in general. And then also did a video, like I said, did a video yesterday on the dollar index, the US dollar index. It's very close to confirming a monthly downtrend. And this is going to be the first time in 28 months. So 850 days since we confirmed a monthly downtrend after a massive move, right? We went from the low there to the high, about almost 30% on the dollar, which is huge. And then we had from here to here, we had 241 days or 8 months in a row without any monthly consolidation. We finally started monthly consolidation. Now we're at risk of a monthly downtrend and a bear flag targeting 93. And that would be massively bullish for crypto and stocks and the MJ industry as well, right? As that'd be even more confluence to the fact that we could see the broader market rally. And then, like I said, if we get any kind of positive news, I'm liking our odds. I'm liking the potential outcome possibility here. And there's tons of countries, right? I mentioned earlier, Colombia, MJ legalization bill approved in the Chamber of Representatives, sending it to the Senate for final vote 7 hours ago. There's tons of companies, countries, states, more and more individual states legalizing. We've got, more and more countries. And that's not going to be the last, right? And we've got tons of companies as well, like Apple and Amazon backing reform. And then we've got Uber getting into delivery with Leafly in British Columbia here in Canada. So just more and more of these big tech companies starting to support it, right? And then Twitter easing its advertising restrictions and things like that, requirements. So again, I seen a TrueLeaf ad on Twitter the other day. So we're finally starting to see things shape up and change for the better. Can you please analyze MSOS for us? Thanks. Yep. So I think I already did that. That was actually my plan. So I did do a video as well. If you haven't seen my video on that, I did do a MSOS ETF trade opportunity. That was 6 days ago. So you can see what came to fruition after my analysis on that 6 days ago, and then what transpired over the last 6 days. And then, I did some analysis in this video as well. So hopefully that helps. So you want to take a look at high tide real quick? Yeah, we can take a quick look. I do want to keep this live stream as short as possible, but we'll just take a quick look here. So down almost 1.5% today. No major red flags here whatsoever. We have the high, low, lower high, lower low. Confirmed a daily downtrend, but didn't see much follow through. Then another lower high, lower low, lower high, but held support. So now we have the low, high, higher low, and higher high. We're back in a daily uptrend. And then if we zoom out to the weekly time frame, you can see that the weekly bounce is underway. And now we're at the potential for a weekly uptrend to confirm. So we have the low, high, higher, low. And now we're looking for the higher high. So we have resistance at 142. We hit 141, so essentially a double top. If we can break above 142, we'll be in a weekly uptrend. And that will mean that we can more than likely see some upside. And then we have no resistance until about 179. So key resistance is going to be 142. If we break that, we can see some serious upside with a weekly uptrend confirming. And then we'll look for the monthly bounce to get underway. If 142 breaks, then the monthly bounce will be underway. But again, just like all other MJ, we need the low, high, higher low, and higher high. So we still need that high, still need that higher low, and the higher high to be confident that the bottom is in and that we could see some sustained upside from here. But very close to seeing a golden cross here on high tide as well. So just like MSOS further away from seeing it, but it's looking good. The more names that confirm golden crosses with the 50-day below the 200 and crossing bullish, a golden cross, the better. And then the more names that confirm monthly uptrends, the better. So we're still multiple months away from doing so, though. Did you end up sleeping last night? Yeah, so I did what Jim Losey is referring to is this product review video. I didn't realize that this sour green apple kush had, well, I knew that one had guarana and caffeine in it. I didn't know the new deep space peach and cherry lime had caffeine in it as well. So drank 3 of them with 10 with caffeine and 10 milligrams of tea and CBG. T to the H to the C. I don't like to say that on the live stream because it does flag it. Again, we're starting to see Twitter and things like that ease on certain keywords and trigger words, but here on YouTube, they're still very much against it. So try to say MJ and try not to say T to the H to the C. Yeah. Kind of funny, but yeah, I slept okay. It was like close to midnight before I went to bed. I actually had a meeting today with my college. I graduated from Holland College in Prince Edward Island, and I was actually invited to speak in front of it was almost a dozen people, just giving my story, and talked about how I was an alumni from the college at Holland College, and just talked about my story and what I do for a living, and then how I got into investing in real estate, stocks, and crypto, and things like that. So that was pretty fun. Nice to give back. What better way to give back than the college that you graduated from, than giving a presentation. And it's about an hour of my time. Didn't get anything for it, but I had a Q&A session at the end. It was pretty fun. But yeah, I got some sleep. Thanks for asking, though. What did you think of what Schumer said? The banking bill will include social justice reforms. Yeah, I think that goes in line with a lot of what we've been saying, right? Like, he's been very advocating for that for a very long time. And then these new witnesses as well, from the MJ Regulators of Color Coalition and Drug Policy Alliance. So a lot of, I think that may be why it's getting bipartisan as well, right? Is the more these other, key components that they want in there as well. So I think it's a good thing. Obviously, discrimination and all that of all sorts needs to end, especially with, war on drugs. So I think it was an inevitability. I think it was something that has to be in there, and I think it has a good chance of making a real difference. So, but I love it. Love to see it. All about equality. I seriously believe we need to wait another 5 years. The big investors want the small traders to lose hope. Well, definitely, yeah. It's it could be 2 years, could be 3 years, could be 5 years. Who knows? But at the end of the day, like I said, as long as you have realistic expectations and you have a plan for all scenarios, that's all you can do, right? There's nothing. We could wake up tomorrow and HHS could reclassify it, or they could legalize medical in the U.S., or more and more states could start. The safe banking progress could happen, right? Like once something happens, then it's too late, right? So it's better to have a plan for all scenarios. That's all you can do, right? You also don't want to drive yourself crazy, and just the easy. If you just have simple statements saying if this happens, this happens, this happens. There's 3 things that can happen. Prices can go up, prices can go sideways, or they can go down. So as long as you have a plan for all 3 scenarios, nobody can shake you, and you're going to maintain a level head, and you'll be here for the good and the bad and the ugly, right? Congratulations, man. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Yeah, it was fun. It was a fun presentation. I would like to post the meeting online, but I don't think, not sure if I'd be able to do that, if I'd ruffle any feathers or not, but we'll see. I'll probably do a My Story video. A couple of people still asking me, and what I did as a kid and how I got to where I was and where I am and where I'm going, and just kind of give my story. So maybe I'll do a video on that soon. I don't really like to talk too much about myself, but certainly not shying away from it either. But I come from nothing. I don't come from money or anything like that in my family, but just a lot of hard work, blood, sweat, and tears, and not just working smart, but not just working hard, rather, but working smart, right? Work smart, then work hard. I turned 35 today. I'm planning to retire at 40. Well, happy birthday. That's awesome. Yeah, that's a good goal to have, right? Freedom 40. I'm in Freedom 30, so I just turned 33 a couple months ago. That works out for Boris, yeah. You bet. All right. Well, thanks everybody for your contributions. I wanted to keep this live stream around 30 minutes, and we're basically exactly that. So I'm going to start wrapping it up. Hope you have a fantastic evening. If you could smash like on your way out, if you think I earned it today, I would appreciate it. Share the video with anybody that might find value. Again, it's Rob with Power Group. Thanks again for joining us in the pursuit of wealth. And big day tomorrow. We'll see what happens. I'll more than likely be doing a video covering it. So stay tuned for that. Make sure you have the notification bell ticked, and you'll be notified on any future videos or when I go live. Have a great night. We'll see you on the next video.